The next condition, after non-existence, is danger. And that's quite logical. When a company lifts its head above the water on the market and produces something for the first time, then usually that market is divided up among competitors. And as a general rule, they're not going to like that someone else came into the picture to bite off a piece of the pie and, in essence, pull a portion of their clients away. At least that's the way it is perceived, and so it happens that someone starts to put spokes in one's wheels. A lot of businessmen are familiar with that moment. They know this stage, and when they surface above the water and start being somebody, that's when they get hit over the head from some quarter. It could be people whose toes they stepped on. Not always competitors necessarily. Someone noticed them and decided to profit at their expense. This could be certain corrupted state entities. In some countries, this tends to go on quite a lot. It could be criminal gang entities that you won't believe also happens in some countries. But someone comes and puts people in danger, or they create their own danger out of their own stupidity. And there are a few indicators of this condition. Let's see how we could observe this using statistics. The most obvious thing is that a statistic goes down rather steeply, but doesn't plummet into zero as it happens in non-existence. Or, if a statistic shows a condition of emergency, which is not a rise, when it's not rising for a while, then that's the next condition. But the graph looks like this, and the statistic is indicating the same number for a long period of time. For example, if you had an income of 1 million a month, and then 1 million again, and then once again 1 million, and again another million, I like that number. Well, yes, that's what we will come up against in half a year. You like that number, you like that level, but if it's not rising, then if we take inflation into account, sir, the buying power of that $1 million will be less in half a year than at the beginning. And so factually speaking, the statistic will be falling. That's logical, of course. Besides that, if that condition is continuing on for too long, then there is something seriously holding you back, of course. Or you're possibly committing some serious errors, and here one has to apply the same steps as if he were in a dangerous situation. The steps of danger. A sharp fall in statistics or a very long unchanging statistic, some people think of it as stability. But what sort of stability is that? Within our unstable market, in our unstable society. So when we see such statistics, we have to naturally apply the formula for danger. Or if we just feel that there is a danger, you come to your office and there is a catastrophe and you have to dive in and handle the situation, you see? Because your employees created a problem or someone from the outside created it. But your employees can't solve it themselves, so you have to carry out the danger formula. A statistic that does not change for a long time, or falls sharply, or a catastrophe that you have to personally handle, all of that falls into the diagnostics of the condition of danger. So what are the steps? There are a whole 6 of them. Usually people's intuition is enough to do the first 2. But they never do the last 4 steps. So if you look at our acquaintances, my friend, then you shall see that 95% of them never come out of the danger condition. They always keep on bumping and bumping and bumping into all these new danger conditions, and they're in danger all the time. It comes up periodically, and they don't like it, but their intuition is not enough. They jump a few steps at a time, and later this rebounds against them. The first 2 steps, the ones they can cope with, are, first, you bypass the people who are supposed to solve the problem and solve it yourself. Do you think you could do that? I think so. Naturally. You have enough experience, you're an executive, you're a business owner, and you could do that. It sounds totally logical at the very least. It sounds totally logical. And on the second step, you handle all the problems personally while moving to the sideline and bypassing all the people who are supposed to solve it. And you solve all the dangerous aspects of it. The formula says, handle the situation and any danger in it. How much danger, my friend, do you think is left in the situation after the second step is complete? Is there any danger left at all? If the second step is really carried out, then judging by the way it's written, there is none. You're right. That's elementary. There is no other danger anymore. And so at this point, people finish up the formula and go on the next, intuitively. But what haven't they done? Oh, but they haven't removed the source of that danger. That's interesting. Of course, there are a whole 4 steps that follow. The third step is, you assign the condition of danger. Whom do you assign it to? The ones that you bypass to handle the situation. Why? Because they let the guard down. And they're grateful to you, my friend, that you resolve the situation for them. Just imagine, you're an executive. You come over, and they are having problems, and they don't know how to deal with the danger. And you solve it all for them. And they have no other danger. They look at you with tender gratitude in their eyes and say, "My God, what a wonderful boss we have." Quite a widespread phenomenon. Absolutely. And after that, they're ready to clap for you. But they relaxed. They say, "Thank God that the danger is gone. The boss solved it. Thank God that we have such a boss. Thank God we have such a boss." And they're ready to worship you. But they're not ready to do anything to solve similar situations. And why should they be? They have a boss. Of course. But you wouldn't want to have to solve one danger after another, right, sir? Naturally. Naturally. So that's why you assign the condition of danger. And how is that done? You get your old 64 Winchester, you put on your fine red hunting suit, checkered in grey, and you declare to them that they're in a condition of danger. Do you think they're going to believe you or not? They will with the help of a Winchester. I'm certain of that as well. You come, you look at them straight in the eyes, and you say, "Sir, you are in a condition of danger." And you look at them in this penetrating way until they believe you. If you're the boss, do you think they'll believe you? I think they will. Right. To be more convincing, you can put your hand on their shoulder. That makes an impact. An interesting step. Yes, after this step, people get it together, and that's what you want, because they've got overly relaxed. And here we have step 4, which contains a term completely misunderstood by most people. A philosophical term that came from the times of ancient Greece, and that's ethics. Actually, that's a very simple word, and it simply means reason. It just means apply your senses. It means finding the best move in a situation in which you find yourself. Finding the best solution. And that's it. That's what ethics means. It's not to be confused with etiquette when you simply show courtesy, when you bow, say thank you, or something else. Some people confuse these two words because they are similar. But that's funny and that's illiterate. And how do you implement ethics? Whose ethics are we implementing? The ethics of the people that we gave the dreadful look to, that's who. Ha! I think I got it, my friend. It seems that there are 2 danger formulas here. One is used by the executive himself when he assigns danger to certain areas, and those are the steps he follows. And the second formula is a formula of personal danger. And speaking of ethics, it turns out to be the 4th step of this formula. That's truly interesting. My God. In life, people rarely do this step. And when we demand that the person does do these steps, we can expect that he will do something correctly, because before that he hasn't done it. Undoubtedly, they took stupid steps. You took other ones after all. You handled the situation. You dealt with the danger. So it can be done. They just have to use their head or their qualified skills. And how is this done? You could do it in a hard way or an easy way. I'll show you an elementary approach. You take a person, for example. You come up to me, and let's say that I'm your junior. For starters, you have to convince me to do this step. What I would do with a junior would be this. I would ask him if he wants me to punish him or to help him. If I have a Winchester in hand, he would take the second option. I do concur with you. Indeed, I do concur. And when he chooses the second option, I would take him to my office, sit him down at the desk, give him a piece of paper and encourage him to write out all the actions he took right before the dangerous situation happened. Ha! What do you think he's going to put down there? You know, he'll put down his justifications. Yes, he's going to write it all down about the sun, the moon, and all the rest. Right, that is the case. So you have to look at what he writes down and leave only those things that he himself did. You have to throw out all the outside factors he wrote down, which state why it couldn't be done, and you have to get him to carry this assignment out precisely. What did he do before the dangerous situation happened? And he has to put together a complete list. He is done when he can't think of any more actions. That is all that I have done, because it's these exact actions that lead to the danger condition. He took the steps, and then the dangerous situation happened. So, we have cause and effect here. And when the person realizes that, you ask him to make another list of actions that he would have to take to actually avoid the dangerous situation. Since this is step 4 and in step 2 you already handled the danger, he's not going to say, I don't know what has to be done. He saw what he did. Well, he'll be able to come up with it, and will be able to think of something at least. And if he can't think of anything, then on step 5 we're going to bid that person farewell. At that point, we will need the Winchester. Of course, the main thing is that it doesn't misfire. But usually, most people will get clever and write down how things should have been done correctly. You check it. And step 4 usually ends with a major cognition and major relief on the part of the person who's doing this with you. And now he really does feel gratitude towards you. Now there is a good reason why. You helped him become smarter. That's called being more ethical and more responsible. And more responsible, now he does this on his own. And moreover, he can now do this with his own juniors if he has them. Right. No one does this step in the normal world out there. Exactly. A thing much missed. After this step is done, a lot of new ideas come about that should be put into practice so that this dangerous situation doesn't come about anymore. And this 5th step, reorganize the activity so that the dangerous situation is not continually happening. That is done after step 4, and based on step 4 specifically, based on those actions that people conceived of and are now aware of as the things to implement to avoid the same situation. One has to reorganize the area. Having done that, you just sit down and you formulate this as a rules. What can be done, what can't be done, what caused the danger, and how it should be taken care of. And these rules become laws to your employees, and that prevents new dangerous situations from occurring. That's the brilliance of it. That's how you can prevent what most people try to prevent, but intuition fails them. I think that this is absolutely brilliant. I concur with you completely. Well, that is the condition of danger. And when you have coped with it, you shall find you haven't produced so much. But what comes next? This file is growing in value with every step of the way. Of course, because next we find that things aren't quite as good as we want them yet. I'll tell you about it in a few minutes. Let's go have a coffee.